Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sky over at Skyline, and today we're going to talk about a useful tool. You might not use it every day or for every campaign, but it will likely come in handy for you at some point, and it's how to do a master suppression. So this is going to be a tool that you can come back to if you ever pull a list of contacts and you want to make sure that no one on that list is a customer or a prospect or someone dead, and you want to try and do it before you upload the list into the CRM and have a bunch of things automatically updated that you didn't mean to. So this will be a way for us to essentially clean up that list and suppress out anyone who we don't want to be prospected before we make any uploads into a CRM or a sales automation tool. So this master suppression example, it's going to be linked in the module as well so that you can take a look at it. But quite honestly, once I explain it, you're probably not going to need it. It's super simple, but this will be here in case you want someplace to start and you can have an example. But basically, this is what your master suppression should look like. And obviously, you're going to have more than 20 contacts, but hopefully you get the point. Basically, we're going to have two tabs. We're going to have an email suppression tab and a URL suppression tab. And so this email suppression tab is going to have all of the emails of people who are current prospects. They have been recently prospected, so you've already put them into some of your campaigns, and you want to make sure that you're reaching out to brand new contacts on the upcoming campaigns or clients. And so we'll also have a URL suppression tab. And so the important thing to note here is that on the email address, I have just the email address as shown, but on the domains in your URL suppression, you want to build this out and you want to separate them from the www or the HTTPS or the HTTP, because the way that I'm going to show you how to do this suppression is based on what's called a VLOOKUP formula in Excel, and we're going to do it with an exact match. And so let's say you have the domain, and for some reason you have it as www, and the database you pulled it from has it as HTTPS. It's not going to get an exact match, so it's not going to register that you already have this domain on your suppression, and so it won't be suppressed, which is what you don't want. So basically, best practice here, if you're running a suppression on a URL, you want to make sure that you're separating it out from these kind of domain prefixes here. And an example of when this might happen is like let's say you're selling into Amazon for some reason, and in your sales process with your product, once you close that logo or that company, you don't want to sell to anyone else there ever again. Right? And so in that case, it can be really useful to use the email domain, because you're going to make sure that anyone with that domain is going to be suppressed. But in some scenarios, even if you close a deal at Amazon in one region at one department, that doesn't mean you can't sell to other regions and other departments within Amazon. And so in that case, you're going to want to just use the email address as the suppression, so you make sure you don't hit up current clients or people within that same department, right? But a lot of times you're going to want to use both just to have multiple layers of checking and contingency here. So this is really simple. Basically, your suppression list is just a list of emails and a list of URLs, making sure that the URLs have been separated from the www type stuff. So how do we actually use this? What I've got here is an example list. I just pulled this list from a database, and I'm like, all right, I want to prospect these people, but for some reason I wasn't able to make sure that I could suppress all of the contacts in my CRM before I did the pull. So I just pulled this list. I might have paid for some contacts that I already have, but now I still want to make sure that I'm able to suppress them. And basically all you got to do is you're going to copy and paste your URL and email suppression into new tabs, and might be massive. Like, we've got tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of contacts in here and tons of URLs. And basically the way that it works is you're going to create a new column to the right of the data set that you want to suppress from. So here we've got the websites, and as you can notice, they're separated from the wwws. And then on the right hand side, we're going to do a VLOOKUP formula. And basically how this works, if you look up here, is you're just going to type this exactly in, equals VLOOKUP, and then you're going to start the parentheses. And basically what this means, and I am not, I'm going to preface this, I am not an expert when it comes to Google Sheets and Excel. I know enough to be dangerous, so if I kind of bastardize this, please forgive me. I'm doing my best to explain this to you with the knowledge that I have. But basically the way that this works is when I type this formula in, I'm telling it to say, hey, I want you to look for this value in E2. So we've got E2. So I want you to look for this URL, and I want you to look for it in this data set here. And essentially what this means is that it's the URL suppression tab in the A column. So when you actually go to type this out, you can literally just click on the entire column and it's going to pick that up. So as we can see here, we've got everything in the A column. And then this next piece, this one here, is basically saying if you find this value in this data set here, then I want you to output whatever value is in that column. So one just means it's in the first column here. If we had two columns, and I said, if you find this value in this entire data set, A and B, and I want you to output, got it, I want you to output that, I would have to put a 2 here, and it would tell the function to output the word got it instead of just the URL, but we don't need to do anything fancy here. So for the sake of how we use this, it's just one column. And then this final piece here is false, and what that means is that it's looking for an exact match. So if you find this value in this data set, I want you to output this information in that cell. So in this situation, it's going to be the URL, but only if you find an exact match, not a partial match. And when you do that, you push enter, you drag this all the way down to the end of your list. It's going to say #NA if you don't have that URL. So that's good. It means we can prospect those folks. And if you do already have it, it's going to output the URL. And so basically all you got to do at that point is just sort it from A to Z. And then you can delete out everybody else that you have. And then for the email suppression, I'm not going to walk through it because it is literally just the same exact thing, except now it's looking in the email suppression tab, but the same exact formula. So it's VLOOKUP. I want you to look for this value in this data set, output this value if you find it, and I only want you to output that value if you find an exact match. So hopefully this was helpful. You probably won't be doing this every day or all the time, but if you ever run into a scenario where you need to run a suppression off your entire database, this is a really simple and easy way to do it. If you're having trouble, hit us up and we're happy to help.